So, when I was 15, I asked my dad to get me a guitar for my birthday. And the guitar we got was a little satellite. It cost £20 and we bought it off a guy who worked in a petrol station. And little did I know then that I wasn't going to be able to play it because the guitar actually had several things wrong with it. Most notably, the guy had bought it off, had taken the original bridge off and put on another bridge. But what he didn't seem to know was that the distance from the bridge to the nut has to be exact, and he just stuck it on anywhere. So this is the result of whenever I tuned the guitar and put a chord on, it was out of tune. It was impossible to learn how to play guitar. So it took me years to figure this out, by the way. And this is what the guitar looked like back then. And if you'll notice that Def Leppard sticker at the back, that was to cover like 4 little holes at the back, but I had no idea what they were for. But now I know that that whole bridge and tailpiece section is supposed to look like this. So that was what the guitar looked like back then, and here's what it looks like now. There have been a lot of aborted fix-up jobs of this through the years, but now I've finally bought all the hardware I need for it, and it cost a lot more than actually buying one of those things. You can pick these up quite cheap on eBay, and I could have done that and rated it for parts, but it wouldn't have been that guitar then, would it? So here's the fix-up job. The first thing I got to do is fill in those big holes where the other bridge used to be, and then I'm going to sand it down, and hopefully I'll be able to see those other holes where the original tailpiece went, and they'll do as a guide to get me started on this. Wish me luck. Okay, so all I'm going to do here is fill these up with some cheap filler and stick a couple of little bits of dowel in there just so that it's not all filler, so I'll get something to screw to. I'm going to put some filler in here first just so I get it all the way to the bottom. Hopefully that should do it. Just gotta wait for it to dry. Phase 1 complete. Okay, it's time to start sanding. I'm not going to video this bit because I don't want all the dust kicking up and getting in my camera and screwing the whole thing up, because I'm going to be using power tools. So I'll show you the end result afterwards. Okay, so let me show you where we're at now. By the way, I would just like to say this took a lot more time and effort than I thought it would. Wow! Isn't that cool looking? So there's the hook. There's a couple adverts for my first film. And there's my guitar spinning. I'm not sure if that's just the string unraveling or the fact that it's blowing a feckin' gale outside at the minute. You can maybe hear it. Which is the reason why I'm spraying this inside instead of a well ventilated area. Okay, I'm mildly dizzy, so I think that'll do for a first coat. Okay, so this is where we are after 3 cans of undercoat and a fair bit of filling and refilling. You see, the real problem here is these guitars are so cheap. They're made out of, I don't know if you can see that, they're made out of plywood, layers of plywood. So you can't really smooth it down to a is I keep smoothing it, keep sanding it until you get a smooth finish, because eventually you're just going to hit the glue and the wood chips and stuff. Quite nervous about doing this. I really don't want to screw this up. A lovely shade of red though. Chuck Berry red, I would say that is. It covers a lot better than I thought it would. Let that get taggy. Okay, and here we go. This is it after many coats of paint. As you can probably see, although it's quite glossy, it's not perfectly smooth. This here effect is known as orange peel, oddly enough, because it makes the surface look like the surface of an orange peel. And if you get this, it doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. This is just how spray paint goes on. And what you have to do to get rid of it is sandpaper with some very fine 2000 grit wet and dry. Okay, so here's where we're at now. Doesn't that look nice and shiny? Well, to be honest, it could be a lot shinier. But every job reaches that stage where you just think, I'm pissed off doing this. And that's probably as good as it's going to get. As you can see, there's still some little bits there, just where I went down too far to the wood. But overall, I'm quite happy. It's quite a nice shine off it. Time to apply the lacquer. Let's see if I can screw this up. That was wise. Didn't put the eyewear down. So, in the words of Big Jack, maybe this is just as good as it gets. So, what the hell? That'll do it. That's it, and that's all. I'm not respraying this another time. I've been on this for like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 weeks now. I've been spraying, sanding, and spraying, and sanding, and spraying, and sanding. And to be quite honest, I'm fed up doing it. This is a finish we're going with. Okay, I don't know how long it's been since my last confession. It's been a long time though. It's been a few months because it's been too cold out here in this little shed to do anything. The paint would have just reacted and it would have been horrible. And I've painted this thing so many times already, I really didn't want to paint it again. So here's the stage I'm at now. I've applied the paint and I've applied the lacquer. So now I'm sanding down the lacquer before the polish.
perfect. There's still little bits are showing through, but we're saying that gives it character now. That's the story we're going with. So it is pretty good. It's nice and shiny. The lacquer's on. It was sanded down. It was polished, and it's looking not too bad now. So the other big thing that held me back for a long time was the scratch plate. Now this is the original scratch plate that came on it, and you might notice I had to smash it to take it off because all these screws were rusted, and when you tried to turn them they just stripped, and it was a whole nightmare getting it off. So I basically smashed the old scratch plate getting it off. This isn't a standard Strat shape, it's much smaller, so I had to get one custom made. More money, this is crazy, I'm telling you. So after that I got a new scratch plate made by Alan. I'll put his website along there. If you're in the UK and need weird parts, he also got me the bridge and a little tremolo system for this guitar. And then I had to get it rewired, which I thought would be easy because it's pretty basic, but again, it's not your standard Strat setup. So I couldn't find a wiring diagram for it anywhere online, and I had to go back to Alan again. Ding 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 ding, there's his website. If you're in the UK and need something done that's beyond you on a guitar, give him a shout and he can probably help. So, new scratch plate. Isn't she lovely? And it's wired up. Now these are the original pickups and the original switches, so I hope they still work. In theory, all I gotta do is screw it back together now. In theory. Well, it looks like this little guitar isn't done annoying me just yet. So I just put the first string on. Doesn't that look nice? Want to hear what it sounds like? Isn't that lovely? Now, I think I know what's wrong here. This is the bridge the guy put on arbitrarily in some weird place, and I had to fill in the holes. But I think under the neck here there was a little bit of plywood set in. Now I just thought this was another piece of this cheap guitar, but now I'm starting to think they put that other bit of plywood in to raise up the bridge, to raise up the neck so that the other bridge would work. So I think I'm going to have to take this neck off again and take out that little bit of ply, and that's probably going to crack the paint. Could I be any more annoyed? So yeah, this is what I'm talking about. As you can see, that's a piece of ply that's been set in there, and I've so immaculately painted the sides and stuff and filled them that you wouldn't know that was two pieces of wood, but it actually is. And what do you see, when I prise this out, that's all going to crack to shit. I think I finally had a bit of luck. This is what was jammed in the neck pocket. It was just a bit of plywood. bizarrely enough, I think that was actually blue tack they'd stuck it on with. And over the years, when the pressure of the screws being held on it, it just got really tight and stuck really hard, but it came off pretty easily in the end. And what's more, it didn't actually smash the paintwork too badly. Anything that's still seen, we're going to call it character, like before. It's given it character. So I cleaned out the neck pocket there with a chisel, just to get it nice and flat. And I think it looks pretty good now. It definitely looks like this was how it's supposed to be anyway. This was the natural colour. Because you see that red there? I mean, that wasn't my red, that orangey red. I don't know who put that red on. You see, I've never actually seen a red one of these online. They were all sunburst. So I'm thinking, whenever the guy who had it before me done this hatchet job on it, he must have sprayed it red. I reckon it probably was sunburst to begin with. But let's get the neck on again and see if this sounds any better this time. Now that sounds more like a cheap 70s guitar. So here's the last finishing touches. I had to replace these screws, and of course they weren't the natural size either. So it was very hard to find screws with the right size of thread, which is why these aren't Phillips head. I had to go for a straight flat head screw. Not perfect, but better than the rusted ones I had. As the string trees are replaced, because they were rusted as well. Luckily I was able to place them close enough to cover the other holes, because I had to break the other ones off because they were rusted in. But you should always put rolling string trees on your guitar. It makes your strings last longer. So I'm not too worried about that little inconsistency. The other thing I changed was the screws on the neck plate in the back here, because they were a hodgepodge of all different screws and they didn't look nice. Of course they weren't the right size either. I had to buy 3 different sizes before I found the ones that were the right size. But they look pretty good now. At least they're all the same. So that's it. Project complete. I don't even know how long it took. I would say it got to a couple of years, but a lot of that was just me dicking around and taking very long pauses in between. But it probably cost, God, I can't even think how much it cost. A lot more than just buying another one on eBay. But this is what you do for nostalgia. My little guitar is back in one piece and in a playable state. So that's all that matters really. If I had to do it all again, I'd know to do things a lot different. Anybody, the main thing, if you're ever stripping your guitar to plan to repaint it, just take the lacquer off it. Just take the shine off it. Do not sand it back to the wood. That is a terrible idea, especially with cheap guitars. It will cause you nothing but heartache, and it will take you loads and loads of coats to finally get it looking anywhere near shiny. So that's my little guitar back to a playable state. And here's what it sounds like.